Good morning, good morning, good morning. And I'm so glad to be here and hang out with all of you this morning on this Saturday chat. Hopefully, you can hear me clearly if you are online. Go ahead and snap a one in the chat just so I know you can hear me. Sometimes I have to struggle with all of the sound and video. I'm learning little things here and there and getting better with it every day. So, welcome, 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 and good day, good day, good day to all of you here at All for Success. This space I am enjoying sharing here on the YouTube space, but this space is a very, well, leaning positive, of course, and a Sussex friendly space. And I always say that I like to let everyone know that up front because this is not the channel of what I call salacious horror. But I am going to later in the chat talk about some things that I've been watching actually for quite a while in the YouTube world. And I hope you find it as interesting as I have. And it just depends on how much you are interested in or involved in what I call current events here in the US. Now, for those of you who are from parts all over the world, I would just like to welcome you and hope you are entertained by, or at least kept alight by some of the things we might talk about here. Again, Sussex Friendly Space, people. If you have a chance, go ahead, grab your coffee. I like to sit sometimes and have a great cup of coffee and get my morning started. It is a struggle. Some mornings I wake up like this morning, and all I wanted to do was turn over and continue to lie in bed. However, my neighbor's dogs made sure that I got up and got moving because they, for whatever reason, would not stop barking. So if you're in that category, that means we all had to get up, get moving, and act excited to get our day starting. So I'm hoping you all are experiencing great weather. We're still praying for the folks who are in North Carolina, Tennessee border, who are struggling through recovering from the hurricane. It was a horrible and shocking event, only because in those areas, they are used to the storms, for example, heavy rains and massive storms. But with the breaking and the failure of the dam structures, the waterways, then the water buildup was quite significant and very fast. And so that was definitely something to be shocked by, and the commentary of it was quite horrific. So, with that being said, yes, have our coffee. We'll sit and relax. However, if you're not having coffee and you're out and about, perhaps walking or doing some exercises, which is something I totally encourage. I'm going to move on to where my slides will kind of start. If you're walking or exercising during this, that's great. Put in your headphones and let's get started with that. And I hope you are enjoying your workout. I did do my bike ride this morning. It was very short, but it's always nice to get out and enjoy the sunrise as I ride my bike. So I encourage you all to do the same. I am a parent of adult children. Now, what I mean by that is that means I'm not a young spring chicken. And so I have to make sure that I force myself to exercise a little bit, stretch a little bit, and I'm always nurturing aches and pains. So I understand how that can manifest as we get a little bit of age on us. But if you're young and spry, get out there and keep that body moving. Remember, use it or you will lose it. Just keep that in mind because it is true. Absolutely true. Okay, so in the Sussex world, what were we getting up to this week or so, or over the short period of time? What we have been talking about mostly is some of the activities that they have been participating in. And the thing about the activities that they participate in, you have to realize that they put quite a bit of work into what they do. So we are all aware that our family went down to Colombia. That was a big deal, and it was a wonderful event. And Megan displayed her versatility in the world and on the world stage. Now, I love the fact that they're focused and they generally are supporting causes that are youth oriented. I think that is a phenomenal work. And I think it's also very indicative of the fact that they are actually interested in the future, right? Now, it is true, of course, sometimes helping with efforts and with young people, they can sometimes feel fly by night. They can feel like you're doing something great one day, and then all of a sudden, kids will age out of it, and then you feel like it might be forgotten. But the interesting thing about working with the youth is even when they get older, they generally remember the goodness of the people that have worked around them. For example, as I said, I'm a parent of adult children myself, but I look back in my youth and I will never forget attending 4 H camp. I had one of the best times I can remember. Swimming 3 times a day, learning how to do archery. We were in a canoe, hiking through the woods. Now, of course, most of the programs probably looked a lot like something out of a old novel or an old book of kids out in the forest. But we had a great time. And in my home state, we were housed in these what was like dormitory type facilities near a lakefront. We had a great time. We would go to the cafeteria, sit around and sing songs. Oh my gosh. So when I think about that time, I am reminded that it was wonderful for me. I learned a lot. We played a lot with all the different kids from all over the state, all over the area. We met a lot of people, and I thought, not every kid gets to experience that. And the reason is because it costs. It wasn't free. And so several churches were sponsoring the opportunity for kids to go. Like they may have paid half and then the parents paid half. But it was a phenomenal experience. Now, I think somewhat similar, many of the youth programs that the Sussex family supports would probably be along that line. I mean, the opportunity for a young person who is working in the cyber space of online bullying and online um, despots, right? The young people who are working in that space, trying to help other young people navigate and perhaps avoid some of the things that are being done with this technology. I mean, I can imagine that the realm in which they are working and the people that they are meeting, when they become adults, they will not forget it. It's not going to be very many kids that say, well, I was talking to Prince Harry and I was sharing my ideas. That's just not going to be every kid. So those opportunities are going to be few and far between, right? But they're going to be significant and extremely memorable. And so I am definitely giving accolades to the type of work they do. And working with the youth is brilliant. It's a brilliant idea because if anyone can make a difference in the future, it will be the young, right? We have to listen to them. I also noted now, Colombia, they went. Harry has also flown off around the world. He's done his Well Child production and presentations. And of course, that was fantastic. The people featured, it was a hit. And even the UK media had to somewhat bend and give accolades to the fact that the children that were honored, that they are phenomenal. So it was lovely to watch in certain spaces in the UK media where they actually featured the children who were getting awards and why, as opposed to let's run down Harry and run down Meghan. Now, of course, the adversarial media was still out there, and in the adversarial media, their claim to fame was simply um, Harry's traveling by himself, so there must be something wrong, right? So they were trying to hype up that type of a storyline. They were trying to push that vigilant, if you see one without the other, if you see Meghan without Harry, or if you see Harry without Meghan, then their marriage must be over. And it is interesting to me that for whatever reason, the adversarial media is somewhat fixated on hoping, wishing, praying, fingers crossed, that their marriage will crumble, right? Now, anybody's marriage can crumble. That could happen to anybody. But they seem invested in hoping and actually diligently planting stories to try to push push the narrative that Harry and Meghan are not together. The interesting thing about this type of storyline is we've seen this before. I mean, all of us who are watching the Sussexes operate over the past, now remember, this has been going on for what? 8 years now. Do you understand that, people? Within the time that they have been harassing Harry and Meghan, I could have received 2 degrees and one of them a doctorate, right? Kate, just think about that. If at the start of this nonsense, you had begun your university studies, you today would be a PhD, and it's still going on, right? So, with that in mind, they have repeated this constant, we hope they break up mantra. And it is quite vexing to me. It's perplexing that this is what they want in their world. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, as with their normal process, they also want you to believe that anyone that comes into contact with Harry and Meghan, or anyone who works with Harry and Meghan, that you must also believe that what? They are failures in life, and that these people who work with, in, and around the Sussex family, that they have no skill set and they're not doing anything and they're going to come to nothing. So I would like to feature here Ashley Hansen. Ashley Hansen has been the global press secretary and head of communications, believe it or not, for the Duke and Duchess. Now, at the moment, this is a role that they still maintain. In her business, she has been a business owner for a company that sort of, I would say, specializes in how things are delivered, messages, for example, news articles, advertisement, and so forth. And so she's been behind a lot of the media production for Harry and Meghan. And I think that we can all agree that for the most part, the positive media has done a very good job. Well, the wonderful thing about her, and the reason that I bring her up, is it would appear that she is launching her own public relations firm. And the name of that is going to be called Three Gate Strategies. And the wonderful thing about it, at least at this time, she's going to continue to have the Duke and Duchess of Sussex as clients. So I think that is a very wonderful, right? If there is anything there, you have to say that that's worth a round of applause, right? Wonderful that she is continuing her work, and basically her work is about to become larger. At least that is what it would appear. And I'm definitely excited to hear more about Three Gate itself and their type of strategies. Because I can imagine working for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, that you really have to be careful what information is out there and try to navigate your positive light around it. And I have to say, over these past 2 years or so, they are doing a very good job. And we see that there's a more positive approach in the work of the Sussex family. So I know we're all still standing by and wondering what might happen with the continued production of American Riviera. And I'm still looking forward to seeing what type of products or home, maybe home interior type of production may come of it. But it is wonderful to know that they're still working in those arenas. Because if there's anything that the UK adversarial media will attempt to do, is they will attempt by all means to crush or stomp out any possible achievement that Harry and Meghan attempt to make. They will do everything that they can to stir up and draw attention to any portion, piece um, of information that might undercut what Meghan might be trying to work on. So in that arena, these type of strategies and these type of public relation firms, if they can be trusted, and I always add that because it is very easy today to buy people off, right? It is very easy today to insert a few $1,000s and have someone upturn a table or tell a story or add to the confusion. People will do that for money without even blinking an eye. And so she's been working with them for the past 2 years, and I think that's great. And it seems like she's going to continue to advise. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this might play out in the rest of the year coming up, especially with Harry being on several of these solo trips. So let's talk a little bit about his solo trips. Now, before I get to that, make sure, folks, if you're in the chat, go ahead and hit that wonderful thumbs up button. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if possible, if you have not liked, shared, and subscribed, um, you know what? The cool thing about YouTube subscriptions is that they're absolutely free. So make sure you get an opportunity there to go ahead and subscribe and join us here at All for Success. I'm getting tongue tied. And that will help us as well as we continue to move on and move forward in this space. So let me see, where was I? Okay, so let me run back to the studio. Okay, so it would appear that Harry did make a few of his little trips, and he also went over to Lesotho. Now, in Lesotho, he is a key proponent in the Centavale um, Foundation, and this foundation is also very pivotal to children who in that area were suffering from various debilitating diseases. Primarily, their focus was on HIV, children born with HIV. So they're doing a great deal of work in that area, and they've expanded quite a bit. And they give a lot of support to other causes and other health related issues in Lesotho. And so he was met by, believe it or not, a friend that, in a sense, he kind of grew up with or spent some time with as a child. And they had a forum to talk about their continued pursuit. And the forum was around a campfire. It was the evening chat, which was very lovely. And it was interesting because it's so reminiscent of their tribal traditions. And I thought it was very telling how if you do these things in the same way, even in the modern day, that it has such a lovely impact. And so here you see a feature of Prince Harry, and he's just sitting there. as they are all talking about what other things can be done and other approaches that can be made in support of Sentabale and all of the other African foundations that he is a part of. So I thought that was lovely. And it is wonderful how welcoming this group of the people who live in Lesotho were, because I think they see Harry as sort of like a family member that stepped away for a little while. And I think it is wonderful that they welcomed him back also with open arms. And so this treat of sitting around the campfire and talking about what they are doing and what are their efforts, it was absolutely marvelous to see. And I think it's going to net them fantastic results. So that was wonderful. Now, again, Harry traveling on his own, these are causes and things that he has worked on and worked with all of his life. Uh oh, please excuse me. I have an airline which seems to be taking up my sound space. Wow. Yes, we have helicopters in our area and they are loud. But Harry has continued to stay true, and it's wonderful to see that he is continuing, his work with all of the folks um, there with Sentabale, and that they are producing some fantastic outcomes. So, for those of you who are interested in more and more of the detail, I would encourage you to read about Sentabale, but more so, I would encourage you to read about Lesotho itself, just to learn about many of the topics and the details about that region, because they are fascinating. And it is interesting that Harry was sent there when he was a young person. And at that time, they were hoping it would encourage him to be a better person, right? Because the storyline in England, of course, was that he was basically going off the rails, right? But in fact, he was like any other young person, definitely like any other young active man. He needed something to do, right? Because a lot of times it's interesting, even in our culture, we have this perception that young children are supposed to sit still in a chair all day, every day, and then come home and sit still in a chair and watch television all night. You know, that is not normal, right? That's absolutely abnormal. Young people, especially adolescents and teenagers, they're supposed to be busy at all times because if they're not, they will cause trouble. So, young people are supposed to be busy. And I think that's something that we need to really work very hard to get that mentality back with our children and our children's children, is that children must remain active. They have all of their adulthood to become sleepy and lazy. But when they're young, they need to be moving and active. So, Prince Harry, according to the article, he jetted to South Africa for his charity, and he had co founded it in 2006. But they said that was his trip back in 2019, that it was one of the first trips he made back, and that he's on a mission to continue to rally other philanthropic personalities to also support and join in with that foundation. And I do hope that he is lucky. Okay, I'm typing in here, welcome to all of you. And I'm going to say thank you because I have to say thank you for all of you being here. It's wonderful. All right, once again, let's take a moment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Oh, so what I wanted to do before, I just wanted to finish up with this picture. I thought it was great. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I was going to say, it looks like he's surrounded. He's in this photo, and it looks like he's surrounded by the entire nation of aunties, okay? African aunties. So he's sitting there, and it's really fun. You talk about someone who is totally in his element, and he is definitely, definitely well received in Africa. And so we're going to definitely give him a thumbs up and continue to pray for blessings with him and all of the work that he does. At least I'm excited. Okay, now, guys, all things positive, Duchess of Success, and Megan, of course, we're going to just, what they're doing is we're just kind of keeping it quiet, keeping it low, and we'll just have to wait and see what else she might be doing in the background while all eyes right now are on the movements of Harry. And we all know he's about to get ready to get cranked up with more litigation in the UK and hopefully wearing the UK media out. But they're saying that they're going to try to toss out many of his applications for investigations and things like that. But you know what? That's okay as long as he keeps them on the ropes. Even win, lose, or draw, he needs to continue to pound them just like a fighter in the boxing ring. And I'm all for it. Okay, so let's see who's here today. Stand by one moment. Let me see if I can find my folks. All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. King for Concept said, I am walking already. Okay. Well, I won't keep you walking for long. And hopefully you can enjoy listening while you're on the trail. Yes. And keep up the good work and exercise. Keep it going. Yay. Oh, good morning, Joyce Anderson. Thank you so much for being here. Super Squatties are here, folks. Thank you, and good Saturday morning to everyone. I am happy to be here. I love it. Thank you for being here. You don't know what it means to me. Yay. I'm so glad. So glad you're here. Let's see who else we got in the house. Oh, Lorna Williams. Thank you so much for being here. She goes, I'm listening, but I missed a lot, and I'll watch it on replay. Trust me. I repeat myself so often, you'll probably say to yourself, I didn't miss a thing. I'm so glad you're here. It doesn't matter if you're here for 1 minute or 10. I'm so excited. Thank you for being here. The Super Squatties are in the house, people. I love it. It is wonderful. So that's all of that. Now, what I'm going to do, I know, everybody, I'm going to need everyone right now to just take a deep breath. We're going to have to take a deep breath. It's called take a pause. And you're going to say, what in the world is happening? What are you talking about? Folks, because I stay in the YouTube streets, and you all will probably not believe this, but I have always been paying attention to Jaguar Wright. Now, I don't know if you all are familiar with who Jaguar Wright is, but let me give you a short little background if you don't know. Jaguar Wright is a singer, or she's known for being a singer. She has done some work with many other musicians in the past, and she even has work out on different albums, and she continues to produce music. Now, so for understanding, Jaguar Wright is an individual who worked in the music business probably during the same time period. If you all are familiar with groups like, I'm going to say New Edition, but a little bit after, you all are familiar with singers like Mary J. Blige. If you're familiar with Aaliyah, who was a very phenomenal singer and was actually featured in a film called a vampire movie called Queen of the Dam. Aaliyah was an up-and-coming songstress, and at the time, she was kind of moving in the pattern of a early Beyonce. Let's say that, okay? And Jaguar also worked in and around in the world of, let's say, Jay-Z and P. Diddy. Now, if you all are not paying attention, or if you're not from this area, and many of you might be from overseas, These two names, Jay-Z and P. Diddy, are some of the largest names in the hip hop world. Okay? Understand that Jaguar Wright was a singer during that period of time when singing and R&B and heavy voice work was on the decline, but hip hop and rapping was on the incline. It was on the come up, right? Okay. So Jaguar Wright was like a really soulful R&B singer during this period of time. Now, I need you all to kind of sit back a moment and I know, I'm just telling my kids, I know you can't understand this because it's the kids' time. You have to sort of wrap your head around how rap was changing at this during this time. Rap was going from, okay, now I'm aging myself. From the origins of rap when I was in high school, yes, rap was available when I was in high school. It was just starting, but it was starting with the Sugar Hill Gang, okay? And it was moving from the Sugar Hill Gang to Wu-Tang Clan and and LL Cool J and Cool Mo D. Okay, folks, I know I could go on and on, but hip hop was going from rap about love and family and life and what your girlfriend wanted and it was moving from how well I could rap. Now I'm talking about rap, the food I eat, the things I love, the way I dance. That was rap when I was in high school. By the by the time Jaguar Wright and them come on the scene, the P Diddy's, the Jay Z's, rap was beginning to become something else, right? It was beginning to become my boys, my gangsters, my guns, my weapons, who we ran down, who we beat up, who we fighting with, who we're gonna knock out. And it just got, from my perspective, now remember, I'm an older person, it just got worse and worse and worse. But what happened is hip hop then started to incline, sales and all of that, the money, the bling, all of that, and R&B kind of got shuffled a little bit in the background. All right. Now that's the background of who Jaguar Wright is, right? So you have to understand, you have to realize it, like many people wouldn't if they saw her today. They don't realize she was there through all of that. Now, what is the proponent of her? And I promise I'm not going to drag this out, but listen, here's the deal. Jaguar Wright is an anti P. Diddy, anti Jay Z, anti Beyonce person. And when I say anti, I mean she sees them as the tool of destruction for so many music careers. And she implies, and now I have to say here in the alleged sense, she alleges and implies that they are the reason for breakdowns in people like Orlando Brown, why Justin Bieber might be out of the picture and he's changed his life, and numerous other performers that if you're not as old as I am, you may not know about. But many of these people passed had and moved off the scenes. Aaliyah being one of them. She died in a plane crash. And then there's Albie Shore, who was hospitalized for who knows how long. And then there was Whitney Houston, who died in a bathtub. So she goes on and on about the music industry, the debauchery, and the shambles of the music industry, and the players that benefit from how horrible the music industry operates. Now, pause for a second. Jaguar Wright has been talking about that for more than 10 years. This is not new from her, right? She's not coming to the microphone new and just starting to talk about this stuff and naming names. She's been doing it for years. Now, in the meantime, just like riding along the side of Cat Williams, and if you all are familiar with what happened with Cat Williams talking on the Shay Shay Club, he mentioned the fact that the truth is all going to come out in 2024. Jaguar Wright is sort of in the same lineup as Cat Williams. She's been saying the same things. She's just been naming names. And just like Cat Williams and Orlando Brown and other people who have had these type of conflicts with various personalities in the music industry, they have been haunted by arrests. They have been usually picked up by the police for one thing or another, or the police were called for one thing or another. They have been called conspiracy theorists, right? Theorizing about conspiracies. They have been called crazy, which is usually the number one line. They're definitely looked at as the underbelly of the performers. And then generally they're all told, we are told that all of them are either on drugs or have some kind of psychiatric problem. Now, here's the thing. She's been saying this for 10 years. Cat Williams has been saying this for more than 10 years. Orlando Brown kind of faded in and out of fame after That's So Raven. Look how long ago that was, right? So, what happened, ladies and gentlemen? What happened that in this year, 2024, all of a sudden, all of these crazy people are now being called for interviews, right? And here's what happened. Jaguar Wright ended up featured on, let's say it together, folks, Pierce Morgan, right? Ah, yes. Let me stop a minute. Let me go to the chat real quick because Lorna okay, Lorna, I'm going down your chat because you said you missed. Okay, I got that one, but it was something you said I wanted. Oh, you remember Aaliyah? Yes. Okay, so I'm not going to talk to you about how old you might be. Okay, but we'll get with that later. Aaliyah, yes, she was very beautiful. Oh, Kumo D. I miss him. I miss him. Oh, that's another name I forgot. Heavy D also died. Remember? He passed away as well, right? So we got to keep the list. Let's look at the list of all the people in the music industry who have passed. And you're correct. Now, this is what I wanted to say. Yes, Lorna Williams, you are correct. R. Kelly, in his proven deviant behavior, he said it wasn't just him and that there are a lot of people involved. Yes, ma'am. So here's the thing. R. Kelly is locked up. And what is happening in the world of the music industry, P. Diddy is now on the table. He's now in the seat like R. Kelly. The only difference, well, slightly difference, is R. Kelly had video and film of some of the girls dancing on tabletops and things like that. The difference is P. Diddy apparently has video of almost everything, right? Because P. Diddy is now in the information age, okay? And I think P. Diddy did that to try to protect himself in case of a future like what he is experiencing. So here's what happened. Okay, here's what I'm getting at. So now Jaguar Wright, who they're supposed remember, Cat Williams, Jaguar Wright, people like her, they're supposed to be crazy. But now with P. Diddy being in the crosshairs, they are now looking for and reaching in the pool of crazy. Oh, they're on drugs. Oh, they were in jail. They're pulling from that pool of people to see if they can get these interviews. Now, I was absolutely shocked to see her on Piers Morgan. Now, I expected her to show up in the media somewhere in the United States, but I see they're not going to touch it. At least, maybe now, but at least not first, right? Because Jaguar just simply blatantly makes accusations and calls names. Now, you would think by now someone would have said she's lying or someone would have sued her, but oddly, they have not. So, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to watch and see how this unfolds in and around Jaguar Wright. But it appears what Jaguar is doing, because of course, like I told you, I'm in the YouTube streets, so I'm watching a lot of her material, is that she seems to be pulling up some of the people who also were smashed down. She's going to do an interview with Orlando Brown. Now, Orlando Brown, every time he's appeared in public and on camera, what did they say? Oh, he's talking crazy. He's talking insane. So we want to see how this, we want to see now that Diddy is incarcerated, if any of these other characters are brave enough to operate similar to Jaguar Wright. It would appear that right now, all of the players who might be in the background, if you notice, while P. Diddy is going through this time, they're not saying anything. People are not even coming out with statements to protect themselves. They're just simply silent, right? They are simply silent, which is interesting because, in my book, Piers Morgan is very suspect. Now, would he do this interview just because he gets clicks? Of course. That is the only reason he does his show, for money and clicks. And he makes a lot of money. And so having someone on that's controversial, remember, that is his claim to fame. Andrew Wright, what's his name? What's that guy? Tate, Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson. He loves to have the people on that a lot of people hate because that's where he gets the clicks. So he had Jaguar Wright. I was shocked. It's crazy. Okay. So anyway, I hope that I made sense out of what I was saying here, because I know you all are like, this has got nothing to do with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Well, here's the thing. I don't know. And here's why I'm saying that. So I need everybody to brace yourselves, Sussex. Sussex squaddies, the super squaddies, I need you to brace yourselves. This P. Diddy situation is a scandal that is going to ripple throughout the music industry, plus those in control of it, plus those who put money in it. And the names of the people who might be touched in some way are people who are involved in alcohol beverage sales, car manufacturing and car sales, media moguls, advertisers, various companies. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about to get real, especially if P. Diddy starts talking and they can't make him look crazy, right? Now, if P. Diddy just shuts his mouth and goes along with everything, keeps quiet, and they wipe everything off the table, no problem. But if that man starts passing out film clips and explaining what's happening, it is going to go beyond the sexual deviancy, which is, of course, where they're trying to keep our attention, right? They want all of our attention and your attention, right? They want all of you to think only about the fact that, oh my gosh, they were doing things and having sex. They're deviants. What they don't want you all to fall into and to understand, similar to, again, how I'm making this circle, Duchess, Duke and Duchess of Sussex, what they don't want you to understand and unravel are their business practices, where the money is going, how the money is flowing. And so Jaguar and people like her, Cat Williams, right, as well. These people who've jumped up on the on the YouTube world and hit the YouTube world by storm. They are also not only with the sexual deviancy, that's part one. The part two that they are talking about is how the money is being extracted from all the people, all the performers, for example, all the people who want to live and dream big and perform and do their work. But they are also talking about how when these people go into their work, that the money that is being made off of them is huge, but the money being returned to them is almost nothing, and that they are in debt in such a way, and they are blackmailed, I guess, in essence, right? They are blackmailed in such a way that they have to accept little or no payment. And they certainly can't do broad, sweeping things for other underprivileged people or communities because they themselves are left destitute, right? So, see, that is the part two of this entire scenario because there are names, huge names involved. And these people that they're calling out, even the names that she is mentioning, these people still might be fronts for someone else. So that is why I'm saying this circle, I don't know if it's going to brush up against the UK power structure, but I think it will. So I'm going to ask all of you, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Okay, you don't have to get in the YouTube streets. I'm there, okay? But I'm going to try to bring to you what I find out. But stay tuned because, folks, it's getting crazy. Okay, so lastly, let's see what we got here. Lastly, Lorna Williams says, I am not shocked. There are no rules or on private planes and yachts. That's correct. Trafficking, etc., because there are no checks on interstate planes and yachts. Look, let me tell you something. And this is the last thing I'm going to bend your ear with, I promise you. I've traveled all over, right? I've seen a lot of things, been a lot of places. And I traveled to an area, let me just lightly say, I'm going to brag here. I was in Montenegro. Okay, so I'm saying it like I'm wealthy. And I don't know if you all know of a movie, an old movie with James Bond. It was called Casino Royale. And the movie is actually supposed to be about and placed in that Casino Royale, which is in Montenegro. All right. All of that aside, now my bragging is over. But when you come outside of that facility, you come outside of that hotel, this luxury area, it's kind of a historical area as well. And there is a dock, a boat dock, because it's a marina. It's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Maybe I'll throw some pictures up in the future when I intend to brag more. Okay. The yachts that would roll up in that joint were beautiful, huge, shiny, with names that were in English, in Italian, names that were in Greek. The ship names were in alphanumeric characters. Some of them were written in Cyrillic. These people on these yachts were from all over the planet, right? Because many of these people come to the area Casino Royale because it's a famous casino and hotel. Now, while I'm sitting there in the evening, waiting for the band to start playing in this like open air facility, you would see the ladies coming off of those yachts to go shopping. Okay? And I want to tell you, they were gorgeous, gorgeous, and gorgeous, and young. And they all looked like they had stepped out of a magazine for supermodels, made up to the nines. Their clothes were immaculate, stepping in stilettos, I mean, the highest of heels that you could find, right? So I'm going to tell you, yes, the yachts are an entire world of their own, right? And you could see an example of that in this area. And these people would walk past you as if they didn't even knew you existed. They were passing the folks. They could walk through the crowd as if they didn't even see you standing there. I'll tell you more about that in the future. But yes, ma'am, these yachts, they are international and they definitely have their own set of rules. So lastly, I wanted to point out again, like I said, we're going to keep our eyes on this story. This is Jaguar Wright and Orlando Brown. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, they have more stories to tell. And I'm going to be here waiting to hear about it. Listening for it and waiting to hear about it. So I hope you guys are entertained and want to hear my version of what I think I'm hearing. I'm excited. Whew, this is getting really amazing. All right, folks. All right, all right, all right. I'm about to wrap it up. I know. I've held you like a prisoner. So, folks, let's get back to reflect upon what were we talking about before? What were we talking about before? I'm going to give you a few of the Bible verses that definitely come to mind for me. One or two of these I've probably repeated before, but you know what? Right now, this is just where we are. Again, we are still in this place. That these are the verses that are coming to my mind. Okay? So let's take a look at it. Proverbs 19. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall perish. All right, folks? So keep your eyes on people who are speaking lies. I have a feeling that they think they're going to continue to move up the line, but I have a feeling they're going to perish along the way. Let's moving on. Revelations 21. Now, I tell you, most people do not like to talk about Revelations, but I have to let you know it's one of my favorite books. Yes, it is. So if you're, I might do a Halloween version of what I like about Revelations. But hey, in Revelations 21, it also says, be the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake with burneth with fire and brimstone. Okay? And that is referred to, folks, as the second death. So look at that list. Okay? Look at that list. And think about where these folks today in our world fit on that list. Some of these folks are all over this list. They could wear any of these labels. Okay? And so here's what Revelations is foretelling or promising is that you're going to have a part and you're going to participate in what is considered the lake of fire, which is the second death. Okay? And then, of course, if you want to try to console yourself a little bit more, then you can roll on over. We can roll on over to Psalms, where it says, if you love evil more than good, and you love lying more than speaking what is right. And Psalms 52:3 gives you a wonderful picture of how that will turn out. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember, with all of that that's going on around the world and in and around, that the Sussexes are still dealing with bringing lawsuits. They're still coming. Invictus is still going to be great. ARO is going to continue to be in production. And Polo is on the way. And that is no matter what all these evildoers are continuing to try to do. So keep that in mind, and let's stay positive and keep our family in our prayers. Thank you guys again for being here. I appreciate you all for being here with me and spending this morning. Now get out there, get all your errands done, and go ahead. Go ahead. Thank you. Like and subscribe. And thank you guys for being here. So give yourselves, as usual, a round of applause as I say good day.